everyone. I'm Lizbeth Devlin from the Reborn Artist Studio.
And I'm Emily Elliott from Reborns.
And welcome to another edition of Reborn Rap.
Yeah,
Emily.
welcome. I feel like I haven't seen you in forever.
I know. Like, we do this podcast. We've got 2 podcasts a month, but it does seem like I haven't spoken to you, even though we speak every day, several times
yes.
throughout the day. So what have you been up to? How's life in Florida and the studio? What's been going on?
Things are good. My studio is officially finished. I am in my new studio. Our first episode of my new studio. I'm so excited. I'll share a few pictures. I've been working hard on that, just getting organized, getting everything unpacked. I'm pretty much all the way unpacked, and I'm very, very happy to finally be in here and off of that sun porch.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Yeah. So have you started painting in there, or are you doing any of your tutorials yet? Have you filmed anything in there?
Yeah, I've been working on my BC heat set tutorial. I've gotten, I think, 4 episodes done so far. So I've been working on that in here, and it has been great to be back to work, actually.
Yeah, no kidding. And being able to move around as well, too. That's a bonus.
Yeah, so much space.
No more tripping over boxes. So.
I know. We have a great interview planned for you guys today. We're going to have Reborns by Jess on, and she is like a social media sensation. She's really big on TikTok and YouTube, and she's on other platforms as well.
Yeah, she's got a huge following, actually, and very inspiring because of how quickly she's developed her business on, all those platforms that you mentioned. Unfortunately, I was not able to do the interview. I had a crisis come up right before I was due to interview, but you did a fantastic job interviewing her on your own. So this is a solo interview with you and Jess.
I missed you like desperately. I did. I'm so used to our energy and, our back and forth. And it was hard interviewing alone.
I bet.
Jess was amazing. Like I couldn't have asked for a better first solo interview. But I was pretty upset you weren't there. And I have to say as well, it was my first day in my new studio when I did this interview. I had boxes all over back there. Nothing was set up. I was running late, pull my laptop up, all this stuff. In the last 2 minutes of the interview, I looked down and realized my microphone had not been plugged in the entire interview. I was in tears. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Well, I think it turned out great. Yeah, it was just, and we've had a lot of mishaps during this podcast. I know that, everybody gets to see the end results, but we've had all kinds of things happen. As a matter of fact, this morning your internet went out, which happens here in Texas all the time too. So what you see is a finished, polished results. But like I say, I had an emergency that I had to take care of. And of course, Jess was coming to us from the UK, so there was time difference, and we didn't have enough time to change the time slot for the interview. So you were a trooper, and so was Jess.
Yeah. All right. Well, here you guys go. Hi. So I'm here with Reborns of Jess. Hi, Jess.
Hi, Emily.
It's so nice to meet you.
It is really lovely to be invited to this. I felt really honored when I saw the email come in. I was like, oh, the podcast.
Oh, thank you. I love your channel. I've followed you, I think, since your channel started. Wow. I've shared a lot of your videos. I'm a huge fan.
Thank you.
You just have this great energy and way that you present things that I feel really draws people in. So you do an awesome job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I guess we'll start with the question I always ask. How did you discover Reborns? How long have you been in the Reborn world?
Yeah, I started collecting in 2020. It was actually at the start of the pandemic. I started getting really lonely because I was spending hours and hours on my own. And I'd always loved dolls, even from when I was really young. I used to have a baby Annabelle. And I always wanted more realistic babies, but that really wasn't feasible for my parents to afford that kind of thing when I was younger. And then the pandemic happened, and I was in my early 20s, and I suddenly had all of this money because I was, I had a job, and I wasn't like traveling into work, and I wasn't going on holiday. So I was saving quite a lot, and I was like, I need to spend my money on something. And also I'm very lonely, just from working from home during the pandemic. And I think I was scrolling through like Facebook or Etsy, some kind of social media, and just came across Reborns, and I was like, this is incredible. I need to buy one immediately.
Oh, what was that first Reborn that you bought? Do you remember?
The first one, it was a Reva Schick Rebecca sculpt.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, that's awesome. And so you're an artist now. You started painting. How long did you go from like just collecting to painting, or did you kind of jump in right away?
I collected from, I think, 2020 to 2023. And then my husband kept saying, like, why don't you give painting a go? Because I've always been really crafty. And I kept saying that I wanted to do it, but it's quite a big leap to go into painting. There's quite a lot of initial outlay that you have to do. There's a lot of research. I'm not very good at like watching tutorials. I'd rather just try something, and if it doesn't work, try something else. So it took me quite a while to get round to it, especially looking at like, do I go for heat set, air dry, all the different types of paints? It can be really overwhelming. And then I think I had a couple of weeks off work, and I was like, I want something to do during that time. And I just ordered a starter paint kit that came with everything you need to make your first Reborn. And that was around April 2023. And I had so much fun doing it that even though, in my opinion, it wasn't a great first attempt, I just had so much fun doing it. And I was like, right, I want to get better, and I could see how I could improve. So I just, kept going, and it consumed a lot of my life.
I thought you were so brave because I watched like when you first started posting your Reborns, and you were like, these aren't very good, but here's my attempt. Like, you're so honest about posting, how things are going and how difficult it is. And then looking at your work now, like I saw your last couple of babies, like you have improved so much. And I think it's so important for people to really see that progression, because I think a lot of times people get into painting and they think, oh, I can do that. I can make one way better than that. And then it's unrealistic expectations. They get so disappointed that they just kind of give up without realizing you have to work, and it takes a while, but you do get better.
Yeah, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time. I did improve after I did like some research. That definitely helped. It was a lot of trial and error, and yes, there'll be a learning curve, but I can also then share that with everyone that follows me, and it might make things easier for other people in the future to get into reborning as well.
Yeah, I really think the best outcomes usually come from all that experimenting.
Yeah.
Like when I first started, like nowadays you can go and there are so many tutorials and all this stuff. When I first started, it wasn't like that. And so we had to do everything like the hard way. Like you had to, I don't even want to know how much money I've spent for the years, but there's all this crazy stuff where you're like, oh, maybe that might work. And sometimes it does. And then you have this like awesome, maybe it's not new to, there's probably someone else that's tried it, but like new to you. And sometimes it's something that hasn't been used in a long time that comes back around. Like I love people that just go for it and like aren't afraid to experiment and fail and find what works.
Yeah, we are really lucky that like if you're picking up reborning now in 2024, there's so many tutorials around.
And do you do air dry then, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I do air dry. I didn't want I didn't want a huge reborning setup because I'm just in like my little front room, which is my home office. So I work from home here, obviously full time, and then do reborning on the side as a hobby. And I didn't have a huge amount of space, and it's not a particularly well ventilated area. And I didn't want to have to buy an oven for it. So I thought, and also at the start, I didn't know if I was going to continue. I didn't know if I'd be any good at it. So I was like, let's just go for like a fairly cheap.
I started with air dry too, but I bought like all of this stuff and I just like dived right into it. And then I was like you, I finished this first baby. It was awful. And so you sell your work, obviously. I'm assuming that you probably do a lot of sales through like TikTok and YouTube and stuff. Do you have like a platform also that you sell at, like a website or selling platform?
Yeah, so I actually use Reborns.com to sell any of my dolls. So I have my own website separately, but because I don't produce dolls that often, maybe one a month if I'm lucky, but more like one every couple of months. There wasn't really a point for me to make my website into a selling platform. It wasn't really worth it monetarily. So I use Reborns.com. Everything goes through PayPal. It's very easy for me to put things up on there. So I do really like that platform, but I do have my website, which is www.rebornsofjess.com.
So I want to talk a little bit about your like social media evolution. For anyone that doesn't know, you're basically like a social media superstar. To embarrass you. But I know you're on different platforms, but let's talk about TikTok. Like, how many followers do you have on TikTok?
I think the last time I checked, it was just over 400,000 on TikTok. So yeah, it's weird. Like the more I get, the smaller it feels. It's like, oh, it's only 400,000, and then I've said that to other people, and they're like, what? And I'm like, it just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't really register to me anymore.
I think it's amazing. I just got on TikTok a few months ago. I was never on it before. I have like 300 followers or something, like really embarrassing. Maybe we'll cut that out. I don't know. No, but I want to know, like everyone wants to know, like how you did it. Like, was it organic or were there things that you did to bump your numbers up?
Yeah. So some of it was organic, some of it was just getting viral videos. I will say when I started TikTok, I think it was 2021, and I think TikTok was a bit smaller in that there weren't as many people putting content out there. So I did hit a bit of a sweet spot in terms of the time. But I literally started it just for my own interest. I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. It was just that I was so excited about Reborns and collecting them and so passionate about them that I was taking pictures and videos and just like having it on my phone. And I just wanted a place to essentially store them and be able to look back and show other people and, you know, chat with people in the community. So my first video was one of my Sam sculpt that I still have him. And it was literally about 6 seconds of me just kind of panning over him lying in a little cot with just an audio, like a piano thing in the background. And that got about 6,000 views, I think, to start with, which was quite a lot for me, you know, for me as a first one. And I started, just posting little videos. And the one that really went viral, I think is on about 28 or 29 million views now, was one which I did not intend to go viral. To be honest, I don't ever make videos with the intent of going viral. It seems to happen when I do something that's like controversial or shocking, but to me it's not shocking. So the one that went super viral and that got me over 100,000 followers on TikTok was the one where I was holding a doll. It was the Romy sculpt, And I said, this is a reborn with a really floppy head. Like, here is how you fix it. And I showed cutting the back of the neck and then, the zip tie and then taking her head off. And it was 30 seconds and I did it as a tutorial because I thought I was really intimidated. And this was before I was an artist. I was really intimidated by doing anything to my dolls that could damage them. And a few of the dolls that I had received over the years, I didn't like how they were stuffed. And so I had to teach myself how to reweight a reborn in order to be happy with them. And I remember, waiting for the courage for months to be able to reweight one of the ones that I had got that I really loved, which was actually my Sam. So I thought, if I can show other people how easy it is to do, then that makes it easier for people in the community. And that was the whole thought process behind that video. And I had no idea it was going to take off the way it did. And so many people like duetted it and made like reaction videos. And so, yeah, I don't think I hit the target audience, which was reborn collectors, but I seemed to hit just about everyone else. Yeah.
I think that's amazing too, when you can reach people that are not in the reborn world. Like, even if they're doing the reaction videos that are kind of negative or something, it's still like spreading awareness and potentially bringing in new collectors or new artists or new people into the reborn world.
Yeah, that's been one of my favorite things, actually. When I like read through my comments or the messages that I get sent, is I'll always have people commenting and saying, because of you, I've bought my first reborn, or like, I didn't know they existed before I saw your content, and now I'm thinking about making them, and all of this. So that feels really lovely to have, like, I hate the word influenced, but to have influenced someone to like start collecting or to make them. Yeah.
And did you start growing pretty quickly then? I'm assuming when you kind of got like your first viral video, your following quickly skyrocketed.
Yeah, that I grew very quickly on TikTok. So my first social media I actually used for Reborns was Instagram. And I've only got about 12,000 followers on Instagram because I don't really use that as much as the others. And I did start at one point uploading all of my TikToks onto Instagram, but I got really horrendous comments on Instagram, so I had to turn off comments for a while. And now I think I've got limited comments, so you can only comment if you follow me, just because I could not deal with the people that were commenting on Instagram. But I started on Instagram, and that was literally just to be able to share the pictures. And then, I moved over to TikTok. I do regret not starting YouTube earlier. So YouTube, I did like create the channel a couple of years ago, but I barely posted anything on it until really earlier this year. And then I had a bit of a grind to get to like the first 1,000 on YouTube. And because it's been so much harder to get those like subscribers on YouTube, like I'm more proud, weirdly, of the like 75,000 subscribers I've got on YouTube compared to the 400 on TikTok, because it feels like it's been more work to get to that number.
Yeah, it's hard to grow on YouTube. I was really happy to see you on YouTube because you post a lot of videos that I like to share. Your favorite video of mine was, I'm assuming it's one of your popular ones where you explained counterfeits. That was like the one that really, like, I'd already been watching you, and then I saw that one. It really made me take notice and start telling people, like, you have to watch this girl. Like, if anyone has not watched that video, they should go watch it. Like, the way you explain it is just like perfect. It's fun. I don't know, your energy is just amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very passionate about not supporting counterfeit dolls. I'm actually planning a video at the moment. I'm trying to get one of my friends to send me. She's got some counterfeits that she has been sent to show people how bad they are. So I'm trying to get her to send one or two of them to me so that I can make a video. If you are buying from these companies, not only is it really unethical, but this is the quality that you would receive compared to a proper reborn. And yes, supporting legitimate artists and sculptors, but also like, look how much better this is. Yeah, because at the end of the day, like that's kind of what it comes back to for me. Like, as much as like I am on social media and things, like at the end of the day, I love reborns and I love dolls, and like that's what I'm just trying to do. I'm just trying to enjoy having dolls and then tell everyone else about it as well.
Well, I think it really, really comes across well. Oh, so okay, your social media, I'll put these in the description also, but I'm assuming it's Reborns of Jess, like
Yeah,
everywhere.
for everything.
They should definitely go follow your YouTube channel, especially because you're trying to build that up still, and it is so hard to grow on YouTube. So I hope that you'll get some support there.
Thank you. I will say the comments on like YouTube have been like 95% wonderful. I've just had this outpouring of love, and what's really lovely is like it's made YouTube feel like a safer space for me to talk about things like mental health and anxiety, because I know that if I put that out there, I'm going to get like hundreds of people saying, oh my God, I feel the same. Like, this is nice, and like sharing a moment with people, and then I feel less alone, and I can read the comments and like I screenshot them and like put them in a little like happy comment folder, because like, you know, when I'm struggling with something, it's really nice to be able to go back and read them and be like, oh look, I'm not alone, and this is a really lovely space to be in. So I think part of that's because you can write more on YouTube than you can on like a TikTok comment. You're limited quite a lot, so people's attention spans are a bit different. But if someone's watching you on YouTube, they'll often leave like really long comments, and I read pretty much every single comment I get on YouTube.
Yeah. And I love that you're normalizing that you like talk about using reborn dolls for therapy, like for anxiety. And like, I think I've seen you talk about that a few times in videos. And
yeah,
I just love like normalizing that, because a lot of people do use reborns for that. They're great for it.
Yeah, they really, really are. And it's not like often that you see people online, or at least like people with a following, talk about that kind of thing. And it means so much to me when I see other people do it. And I'm like, oh, yes, like that's how I feel. And if someone that has like this many followers feels like that, then like it makes it feel more okay that I can feel like that. And it's like, oh, yeah, I feel more normal and less like, oh, I'm so alone in this. And reborns are just great for that. And that was actually a byproduct like of having reborns for me. Like, I got them because I love babies and I love dolls. I didn't even think when I got my first one like, oh, I'm going to use this to help with my mental health. It was this is really cute and I just want to cuddle a baby. And now it's, you know, if I'm feeling really, really anxious or I'm having a really bad day, you know, I might be crying or something, and I can just pick one up. I can hold one. It's very comforting to hold. And I can also do things like change their clothes, which gives you something to focus on when, if you're like me and you get very anxious, you can like start spiraling, and then you start like hyperventilating, and having something like a baby to just change their clothes is very therapeutic. It's very like grounding. You focus on it, and it might sound weird to like people outside of the community, but at that point, you know, when I'm holding a reborn, I'm kind of like talking to it as though it's a real baby, and comforting the doll like comforts me. And yeah, it's that weird, like you can kind of put your anxiety onto it, because it's like, oh no, it's okay, and actually you're reassuring yourself. But I don't know, it's like a psychological thing. You can just comfort the doll.
and that oxytocin.
Yeah.
And I've seen, okay, I have to ask you, I think, well, I'll tell you first, you and your husband are so freaking cute. Like, I love when he's in your videos. It's adorable. What's his reaction about you, like, having reborns, painting reborns? Like, did he think you were a weirdo at first?
He thinks I'm a weirdo, but he's also a weirdo, so we are each other's weirdos. And we celebrate that. Yeah, I've never met anyone that's as supportive as he is, and not just with Reborns. Like, he has always been such a supportive man ever since we first started dating. And yeah, during the pandemic, we literally moved in together 2 weeks before the start of the pandemic and the start of lockdown in the UK. So it was quite like make it or break it during that period. And we had the best time together, like locked in a house. It was an awful time for a lot of people, and I don't want to like minimize that at all, but for us it was just a wonderful time that we could spend together. And when I, asked him about collecting, because I was living in his flat, I didn't want to bring something in that he would really dislike, because I knew that, some people are very uncanny valley about these dolls. Yeah. And he was just like, yeah, go for it. Great. And yeah, he's been brilliant. We've gone to like doll shows. We've gone to a couple of doll shows together. I've got some clips of him coming to those with me. And he's so supportive of like all of my online stuff, get involved and like set up photo shoots for me. Like, I use his camera for everything. He was the one that recommended like what microphone to get. And yeah, he's just the best.
That's awesome. I think it's amazing. My husband's really supportive also. He sounds kind of similar to yours, actually. He loves embarrassing me and showing like strangers pictures of my work and stuff, and I'm always like, please stop. It's nice though, he's like, thank you. It's lucky to have.
Yeah.
So, okay, your business, like, you're obviously growing a lot. I saw that you created a book that's on Amazon.
I did. I did, yeah. I think the idea came to me one night when I was like lying in bed, as you do. And I'd been painting for, I think, 6 months or so. And obviously with most artists, and I'm sure you probably do something similar, when you send out a doll, you send out like a care sheet with it. And what I found is like, there was so much I wanted to include in the care sheet. And also with like all the questions I would get on social media, and I was trying to put loads of stuff onto my website, and I realized like there's no like reborn care guide that, if you're trying to get into the community, that's kind of easily accessible. So I've got a copy here. I'm so proud of it. So yeah, I wrote all the content, I designed it all myself, hours and hours and hours. Yeah, and I like researched, and I reached out to people in the community that like knew more than I did about certain things. So yeah, that's like my baby. I was so proud of that. And yes, you can get it on Amazon. It's a guide to caring for your reborn baby. And it answers a lot of the questions that I see people ask on like the Facebook groups as well, like getting smells out of babies, or like how to display them, and like hair care, things like that. So
yeah, I think it's amazing. I was like shocked that nobody had done one before, or they have. I have not seen one before. And I was just like, God, she has like some great business sense. Like, that is a great idea to be able to do, and then to actually like do it. Because I know how much work it is putting that kind of stuff together. And we're going to do a giveaway for somebody to get a copy of your book, which I'll put information in that at the end of the episode. But you could buy her book on Amazon. So go on over there and get it. I'll put the link to buy it in the description as well. So do you want to get into some viewer questions? We posted and we got some viewer questions. Okay, Evie's Reborn Babies wants to know what's the favorite Reborn you created and then your favorite in your collection from another artist.
Yeah, so there's several that I love that I've created. My favorite one, if I turn around, I can grab him actually.
Yeah.
My favorite one probably that I have created is the Jaylen sculpt. So I've got quite a few videos with him. I'm holding him right now if anyone's like listening but not seeing this.
I know, right?
And he was just very special. He's just really beautiful. I don't know. I just really fell in love with him. And I think partly it's because he's like so cuddly and I've weighted him to be just beautifully floppy and is just lovely to hold. And every time I pick him up, I think, oh, I should probably sell him. And then I hold him and I'm like, oh, I can't put him down because he's so cute. And especially like the hair. So he's got like curly afro hair. Oh my gosh, this was so challenging for me to root. It was the first time I'd rooted curly hair. And it was definitely, it definitely took a lot longer than like straight hair. I'm sure, as you know, like I try and root from the ends of the hair, and it's a lot easier with straight hair just to kind of shove your needle in. Whereas I literally had to pull out one hair at a time with the curly hair to make sure that I actually got the hair in. So that's probably also why I don't want to let him go, is because I spent so many hours on him and I'm just, really proud. So he's, I'm flopping his head all around. He's probably the favorite one I've made.
He's gorgeous.
He is.
And his hair is amazing.
But anyway, my favorite from another artist, I also have her here next to me, I think is probably this little girl, which is Reborn Aria, and she was made by Abby Annette. I've got 5 or 6 Abby Annette babies now.
Oh, wow.
Like, I don't know, I just really resonate with her art. When I first started, I only got Reborns that had rooted hair because I found it like more realistic looking. But as time has gone on, I found that I really enjoy cuddling them. Like I've taken her to work before to like show my colleagues. She is quite small. She's a like tiny, like preemie baby size. And yeah, she's just really, really cute and I love her.
It looks like she has really great like newborn coloring too, like a nice deep skin tone.
Yeah, she's like fresh out of the womb coloring. Maybe not the most realistic for like a few days after, but I just think she's beautiful. So
I personally love that coloring. It looks so much better too in photos and to video. Like it looks so much better.
Yeah.
So this next one is from Kelly Creates 3310, and I'm going to change your question a tiny bit, Kelly. She wanted to know how long before you were an artist. I personally kind of think you're an artist the second you start creating art. But how long did it take before you created a baby that you were happy with, where you started to feel like, okay, I've got this. These look good.
Yeah, probably a few months. So on my website, I have a section called like Painted by Me, and I've broken it down into like 3-month chunks from when I started painting. So you can really see like the first 3 months, second 3 months, and see the progression. And I think probably my first 4 or 5, I didn't think were great. I stripped and redid quite a few times, and I think probably when I got to about 10, I was like, oh, I'm actually decent at this. Although, like, when I look back at them, I'm like, oh, if I produce that now, I would be disappointed. But at the time, I was like, this is my best. And I think what I always try and do is just the next baby I make, I want it to be the best I've ever done. I don't know if I necessarily consider myself a reborn artist, also because I don't do this full time. If I did do it full time, I think I would be like, yeah, I'm a reborn artist.
You're definitely a reborn artist.
Yeah, probably maybe 6 months before I was like, okay. I think when I produced my first pickle, I was really proud of that pickle, and I think that was one of the first ones that I was like, okay, I'm becoming an artist now.
I always think that the goalpost moves. Like, I got that question myself in a Q&A that I did a while back. And I was like, gosh, it depends on when you asked me. Like, if you asked me my first year, I would have said, I don't know, 6 months. Then my second year, I would have said this year. And then like the year after. And then now it's like, I don't know, a few years ago is when things change. But it's like, the longer you create, the better you're going to get. And then you're always looking back and kind of cringing at babies that you thought were your best work ever at the time. I like doing that every year, though. Like, every single year, I'll do my first baby of that year and then my next to my first baby of the next year, just to see your progress. And I think it's helpful, like, because we kind of get down on ourselves, and sometimes it's hard to see your own growth. So I love doing that and being like, okay, I am still improving. It's so Okay, Jennifer Bells 654 wanted to know how long it took you to reach your first 1,000 on TikTok. I'm assuming it was quick from what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I think it was fairly quick. I remember before I made my TikTok for Reborns, yeah, it was quick on TikTok. It took a lot longer on YouTube. I had to bribe people with a giveaway to subscribe to me on YouTube to get me over 1,000. So I did a giveaway of one of the first Reborns that I'd made myself, just to get people to subscribe.
And now it's rough over there.
Yeah.
Okay, this is from Alyssa Conger, and she wants to know, how do you deal with haters and all the negative comments about painting babies and ethnic skin tones, which I'm really sad to see all the time on your channels. I see a lot of really nasty comments about that, and to me, it's absolutely crazy that there would be like anything negative with creating different skin tones in art.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because it's like, whatever you do, it's wrong. So like, when I very first started painting dolls, I only did like white skin tones, and that was because I was learning. And I had people calling me racist for not making darker skin tones. I had people saying the same thing for only having lighter skin tones in my own personal collection as well. So then I started making darker skin tones, and then I had people calling me racist for either not doing them well enough, or just because I was a white person and they felt that I shouldn't be making dolls with darker skin tones, or that I was exploiting people with darker skin tones somehow by making dolls that represent them, which I don't really understand the logic of, but those are the comments I was getting. So it kind of, it helps in a way to know that, like, I can't win. Like, I'm always going to be doing something wrong, and you know what? And someone's not going to be happy about it. So I should just do what makes me happy. And if that's making different skin tones, then I will continue to do that. And I love being able to represent like as many different skin tones as possible. And I'm still learning. And It was a huge honor to be asked by the Black Country Living Museum to make an Indian doll for them, and that felt amazing. Obviously, my husband is half Asian, so it's nice to be able to incorporate, you know, dolls that are more like his skin tone. The hate can get a lot sometimes. Obviously, I don't just get hate about making dolls with different skin tones. Anytime that you know, are someone that makes reborns or collects anything slightly out of the normal and put it on social media, you're gonna reach people that don't enjoy the same things that you do, and they will judge you for that. And I will say, when I first started, like, it did really affect me because I didn't have as many like strategies for dealing with the hate. A lot of the comments I don't even see because they get caught by my filters, which is fantastic. Occasionally I'll go into the filtered comments, and then that reminds me why I don't go into the filtered comments, because they are just horrendous. So that's helped, just not reading the comments. If I leave a comment up and it's a hate comment, I'll often go back to it and I'll get kind of stuck on it. So sometimes I will just remove the comment, because otherwise it will go over and over and over in my head. And that can be really badly impacting on your mental health. And like, at the end of the day, all I'm trying to do is show off my dolls. It's like, I'm not hurting anyone, and yet people get so offended and so upset about them.
I get ones that bug me, like, personally, you know, like, I have scars on my hands and very, very self-conscious about, and because I teach reborning, you know, my hands are always front and center on camera. And I've had people like comment on those saying I should wear gloves or what happened to your hands. And I'm just like, go away, you know. But it's hurtful. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that. And it's easy for people to say, oh, just ignore those. But we're human, you know. Things like that do definitely affect us and can affect us.
Yeah.
So to close this out, I'm going to ask you for 2 pieces of advice. The first is, what advice would you give new people trying to build up their social media presence?
Ooh, I would say personality has a lot to do with it. And passion. And if you can just show how passionate you are about something, I get a lot of people commenting and saying, I'm not even interested in reborns or dolls, but I follow you because I enjoy your personality and I like seeing you respond to haters. And I find it really interesting learning from you and learning the craft and things. So yeah, I think if you can let your personality shine through, then people will follow you for you rather than just your content. Yeah.
And what advice would you give to brand new artists?
Oh, I still feel like a brand new artist myself. I would say if you're a new artist, don't be afraid to make a social media and show your progression, because I know that the market isn't always great in trying to sell reborns at the moment. And I see a lot of people commenting online saying, oh, I'm really struggling to sell. I think I've been incredibly fortunate because I have such a big following. My dolls sell within like minutes. And that's because I built that following up beforehand. So I think if you're a new artist and you are intending to sell, like, start that social media presence as soon as possible, build up like a brand, and people will want to buy from you, not just because they love your dolls, but because they want something from you. Yeah.
Love that. I think that's amazing. All right. Well, I think that is it. Thank you so much, Jess. It has been a joy talking with you.
Thank
and
you.
I really appreciate you coming on.
This has been so much fun. Thank you so much. I've never done a podcast before.
I hope we can have you back on again when Lizbeth is here too. So
that would be amazing.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gosh, she's such a sweetheart, isn't she? And that
She
accent.
is.
Oh,
I know. I wish you could have met her. I really want to have her back where you're here.
Absolutely. I think she would have probably brought my British accent back out talking to her.
Yeah.
But she's so interesting and so busy. I mean, she has a full-time job. She creates. She's a newlywed. I mean, just what a wonderful individual and very upbeat and jolly, I'm very articulate
she really
too.
is. I love her energy and like, I don't know how she has accomplished so much
in a short time too.
Yeah, it's just, it's really, really impressive. And I can see why she's so successful on social media. Yeah. I mean, just, like I watch her videos on, I watch her on YouTube mostly, but TikTok as well sometimes. And you just want to watch her, like the way she talks, the things that she does, like she just has this amazing presence.
Yeah, she's very natural on camera, and and she's very honest as well, and that really comes through, because I watched one of her episodes where she was talking about her anxiety and taking one of the dolls out for a walk, and she's very open about her anxiety and how the reborns comfort her, and the fact that she shares that with everybody too helps anybody that's dealing with the same issues. But she's done so much. I mean, she's started off collecting, and now she's making her own reborns too.
Yeah, and it takes some real courage to be able to share those first reborns. I mean, like you said, she's just like an open book. I can't imagine sharing as you're learning. Takes a lot of courage.
It does.
I know she talked about getting hate, which makes me so mad because she's such a beautiful little soul, and
I know.
I don't understand, like, what are people's problems?
I don't know. And I mean, she's a sweetheart. She comes across as a sweetheart. She's sharing information with people freely, and somebody decides that they have to bully, but she handles the bullies really, really well.
She does. She has some of the funniest reaction videos, which I think is like a great little clap back. I've struggled with that too. Like when I first started, I got some bully comments and I made a video responding to it. And then I was like, that is so petty. I have to take this down. Right. But the way she does it, it's like not petty. It's like you're like, yes, go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and it just shows you too, like it doesn't really matter what level you are. I know a lot of the time newer artists think that they're targets for bullies, or they feel like they are, but it doesn't matter where you are and what level you're at. We all have to deal with these bullies. It's just crazy. And they're so brave because they're behind a profile with no real name, no real picture, and they're voicing their opinion. And it's somebody who just spends their life sitting on a sofa, who's got nothing better to do with their life. And here they are bullying this person who's achieved so much. So yeah, I'm glad she handles it really well.
I know. I'm glad she doesn't let it get her down. And I mean, I want to see where she is in a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really, really love that museum, baby.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Idea.
I had no idea.
I forgot to ask her. I wanted to ask her like how that came about. Like, did the museum randomly contact you? Did you know somebody there? Did you contact them? Because I think that would be so amazing to have more reborns in exhibits. Yeah. Like I know they do a lot of those cultural exhibits at museums. Like just what a great idea.
Yeah. So we're going to have all of our viewers contact their local museums.
I know. Except for if you're in Plant City, Florida, do not.
Yeah, you're already all over that one.
Yeah. Oh. And her book too. Like that was a great idea. Mm-hmm. I've never seen anything like that. Like I feel like there's a strong need for it. No one was filling it, and she just like recognized it and did it. Like what an amazing business mind also.
Yeah, exactly. And like you say, we always send those sheets home, those care instructions, but it's one sheet long to actually make a book. And she covers other things in her book too, not only just the care of reborning. I think she was talking about also like taking the doll out in public and stuff.
Yeah. like a lot more, like it's really a guide to, I know she calls it caring for your reborn, but it's really like for, you know, owning a reborn and how to engage if you want to, and that kind of stuff. I hope whoever wins that book is really, really happy with it. If you want to enter the giveaway, you can enter it just by commenting below this episode, or you can also head on over to our Facebook page and there'll be a pinned post telling you how to enter there as well.
Perfect. Awesome. And then if you're not a winner, we're going to put a link to the book if you want to purchase the book yourself. Actually, might be a good book to put into an open box as well.
It really, really would be. That is a great idea, actually.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
You know, I just have to say how impressed I am with us and our growth. Like, we have had some really big names since we started. Like, I feel like we're just coming strong out of the gate. And one of our next guests is going to be my absolute hero. I'm like so excited to share with you guys. It's going to be Joanna Kazmerzak. I'm so sorry, Joanna, if I did not pronounce your last name right. You're like my absolute hero. I buy every single one of your sculpts. I love, love, love your work.
Yeah, and Joanna is actually the reason I got into reborning. I fell in love with April, but by the time I started reborning, April was sold out, but Lulu was available, and that was probably my first doll that I painted was a Lulu. I think I did one or two just before it, but Lulu was like my main doll. And then I was fortunate enough to find an April after sale in the aftermarket, but I absolutely love Joanna's work. It's absolutely incredible, and I'm super excited about having her on the show too.
I am too. I'm hoping I can like keep it,
I know,
you know, keep composed. I have never seen her do an interview. I've never seen her do anything, so this is like huge for me.
Yeah, and you know, when you're talking about the podcast, we have had so much support from people, and I remember reaching out to Joanna pretty early on. I thought, you know, let's go for the big guns and see what she says, and I was expecting her to not even read my message and she responded instantly like, yeah, that sounds great, which was just wonderful. It really was, because I mean, she doesn't know who we are. We're two oddballs putting a podcast together, and she was, you know, good to go on it. So I'm super excited about interviewing her too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. And we're not going to give too much information, but we have other really amazing names that are going to be coming up over the next couple months and going forward too. So make sure that you are subscribed to us so that you don't miss those episodes, and give this episode a like. It does really, really help us with the algorithm and help us to continue going forward, being able to create these podcasts for you guys. And it's a free, easy way to show a little bit of support for us.
Yeah, and show support for the community, because we want to keep the community strong. And by doing the podcast, you guys are getting to meet new guests. You're getting to see live interviews of people that you wouldn't be able to, you know, get to know normally. So yeah, hit that subscribe button and help us all out.
All right, Lizbeth, I think that's the end of this episode.
It is. Are we ready to do this again?
I think so. All right.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. And remember, be kind to one another out there. Post some nice comments when you see somebody post a picture of their work. But let's go.
Yep, let's go. All right.
That's a wrap. Oh, my Lord, I think we got it.
We didn't. It was because your face was covered. You didn't see what was really happening.
I don't know how you get your face and the board in this tiny little spot.
I don't know. I have a smaller head.
You do. That's it. Okay.
Over a little bit.
All right. That's a wrap.
Okay, wait. One more time.
Oh,
that's a wrap.
That's a
wrap. Why are you so slow? Long? I'm waiting for you to see you move, but you're like, that's a wrap.